watched race for Snohomish County Sheriff. There's a new development this morning.
Yeah, you'll remember Sergeant Adam Fortney, who ran against incumbent Sheriff Ty Trineri and won. He had pledged to be tough on crime and book even low-level suspects into jail. But now, following Sergeant Fortney's victory, apparently the Snohomish County executive says he might take control of the jail away from the sheriff's office altogether. So we do want to bring in Brandine in this morning because the timing is interesting because this was a huge topic of conversation through this whole election.
This was the topic of conversation in this election. You know, there's obviously a mental health and a drug crisis in Snohomish County, like a lot of places across Western Washington. And the way the current sheriff had done things is there had been issues at the jail, and they had said, okay, if you've committed a low-level crime, but we determine that we can't medically provide for you, we're not going to book you into jail. And Sergeant Adam Fortney had said, I'm not okay with that. Yes, we want to make sure people have proper medical care, but we need to be booking even these low-level offenders into our facility. I want to play for you just a couple clips of interviews I did on The Divide with both men when they were candidates just a week before the election, because I think that it highlights how important of an issue this was in the race. It's like someone who commits like a petty theft. You don't think it's right to not book them?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's why I'm getting traction for this election. I think business owners and community members in Snohomish County are upset and they want a different path.
Frankly, probably one of the biggest issues at stake here. The Snohomish County Jail books between 26 and 28,000 people a year. I don't think that sounds like we're closed for business.
So you have voters in Snohomish County who go to the polls, a lot of them for this issue, to say you have two candidates who are proposing very different ways to deal with the jail, which they're in charge of. So they make that vote. They decide Sergeant Adam Fortney's way is the way that they're going to go with. And then Dave Summers, the Snohomish County executive, posts this on Facebook, saying, my office has been considering asking the county council to put the jail back under the executive office. It was this way for many years. It is appropriate to punish lawbreakers, but also we need to help folks to get on a path to a productive life. So it's fascinating what's happening with all of this, because like we said, you know, here you have the central issue of a campaign, and now you have the county executive saying, maybe we won't even have the sheriff be in charge of the jail. Sergeant Adam Fortney, now the sheriff-elect, wrote his own Facebook post about this, saying he met with Executive Summers for the first time after hearing this. He said, I expressed to Mr. Summers my opposition to this move, and we had a good conversation. Since I haven't had even one conversation with the county executive prior to this meeting, I think I was able to correct some preconceived notions he may have had about my plans for the jail. And I will tell you, we have reached out to everyone involved in this, the current sheriff, the sheriff-elect, and also the county executive, to try to figure out what's going on here.
And there are some optics to consider as well, because the executive backed Trineri in the election.
Right, and optics are important, and I'm not trying to suggest that this is politically motivated, but you have a county executive who backed the incumbent sheriff in the election, who clearly likes his way of dealing with the jail, and then you have a sergeant who wants to do things differently, and as soon as he wins, they decide, we're not going to let the sheriff deal with the jail anymore. So for voters, and look, you know, Sergeant Adam Fortney is the duly elected future sheriff of Snohomish County. Voters picked him. And many of them picked him because they like his way of dealing with the jail. So it could be seen as an effort to subvert the will of the voters, the outcome of the election. If you then say, here's a guy who ran because he wants to run the jail, and now you're taking the jail away from him. So there are absolutely going to be some optics issues. And I was just down in the newsroom, and our team is going to be following this story all day today.
Because I was going to say, we're going to hear a lot more about